Hey, thank you for coming by Tory Magoo 44. Today is the 24th of March and spring is here. So I'm very, very happy about that. I love spring. There's a topic that I've been wanting to go over with you all. It has to do with cults. When you just hear the word cult, for most people, it's kind of dark. You think of Jonestown or something like that, where it's, that people killed themselves, took their own lives, things like that. It has a very, very negative connotation. Scientology sent me to two different organizations to try to see if they said Scientology was a cult while I was in. Both of them didn't during that time because they had other issues they were taking up. But in my opinion, this is my opinion, Scientology is definitely a cult. But I'm going to go over basically the steps with you of what is a cult. And then from that, it's going to be like a 10-part series. And you can decide for yourself if it is or it isn't. But it also is excellent information for you to not ever get trapped into anything like this. Okay, now, one of the things it's based on a couple of books. Let me go over the books, and I recommend getting them. They're really good. One is Thought, Reform, and Psychology by Robert J. Lifton, and it has to do with the study of brainwashing in China. All right? And the other one is someone Scientology absolutely hates. So if you're in and you hear this, you're going to go, oh, I'm not listening to that. But she has some excellent points of information, and I dare you to listen to it. It's Margaret Singer, Cults in Our Myths. And it's with a foreword by Robert J. Lifton. I recommend you getting it. They're both really good information. Okay, so now, it's going to be like a 10-part series on cults. I'm going to go over each one of the steps and really kind of give you some examples of each one. But Margaret Singer came up with 6 conditions that really need to be in to get it to really lock in, to get the thought reform to lock in. And she says the degree to which these conditions are present increases the level of restrictiveness enforced by the cult and the overall effectiveness of the program. Right? So the first one is keep the person unaware that there is an agenda to control or change the person. Now, most of us who've picketed have run into this. Where Scientologists, or if you even talk to a Scientologist, they're like, no way, no way do we do abusive things. No, but they can't talk to you. They can't talk to me. You know what I mean? They can't talk about certain subjects. I've asked him, what about this? And he's like, and I'm like, Tim, I knew Tim when I was in Scientology, and he can't talk to me now. That is absolutely keeping the person unaware that there's even an agenda to control or change the person. There's a plane going overhead. I live near Burbank Airport. So often in my videos you're going to hear planes and other goody things. Alright, so number 2 is control the time and physical environment, contacts, and information. Now we know that happens, and if you're even in and lurking, you know that happens, right? Basically, how does that happen? Well, for the C organization, there's no question. They control your time and environment all the time. For staff, pretty much too. Even for public, really, because they're always hustling you. You've got to come over. You need a DFP interview, which is where you have to sit down with someone and they have to gather some information about you, right? It's always to help you, and it's always, or to help mankind, which nothing could be farther from the truth. But you think so. Contacts, if anybody, like my mother was against Scientology. They tried to get me off my medication. She was like, get out of there, right? So they slowly cut you off from your contacts. And you will find people who've been in Scientology, even for, 5 or 6 years, most of their friends are Scientologists. Their old friends, they've kind of gotten rid of them. It's sad. It really is. And information. It's like, Scientology will say we're a non-denominational religion. Nothing could be farther from the truth. If you're in any other religion, run, because that is not true. Okay, 3, create a sense of powerlessness, fear, and dependency. Now again, I can hear Scientologists laughing as I read that. I'm going to read it again. Create a sense of powerlessness, fear, and dependency. Now how does that work? They're selling freedom, communication, expansion. Well, first of all, the key word in that sentence is they're selling it. You can't sell freedom. You know what I mean? You can't. But they do. That's what they do. Constantly. They constantly are selling these bogus things that really, they're not only not delivering, they're cutting people off from. It's like a triangle, and the higher up you get, the less you can communicate, the less freedoms you have, the less you can read and look and listen. It's very, very spooky, and it's very slow train of mind control, which I will get into in this series on cults. All right? So 4, suppress old behavior and attitudes. All right? So what would that be? Well, behaviors, whatever that could be. Let's say you're someone who, I don't know, they have all kinds of things that whatever they are, Hubbard had all kinds of his technology that you had to get into rather than whatever you thought it was. You might be goofing around, at night, every night. And they're like, no, you need to be on course. Really? Oh, yeah, definitely. Look at all the people around here. They're on course. We need you on course every day. You got to be on course. Well, I can't every day. All right, well, every other day. Okay, I can do that. They get you committed and feeling loyal to this group, right? And suppressing your old behaviors and attitudes. You might be like, fuck this stuff. I don't want to, I talk about anything I want. Well, not here. No, you can't be talking against Scientology. That doesn't keep Scientology working. It's out ethics. We're going to send you to the ethics officer. Now, a lot of you listening to this have never been in Scientology, and you might go, I would never do that. I would never do that either. That's why I say it's a slow, very slow train of mind control, right? It doesn't zip along. If they told me those kind of things that I'm telling you, remember, I got in before the internet. A lot of Scientologists got in before the internet. There was no access to this kind of information. So they were kind of in the dark, and when you're in the dark, you're clueless, and it's easy to manipulate people, which is what happens in cults, which is why I'm making this video. All right, 5 is instill new behaviors and attitudes. Now, obviously, to the degree that all of these steps are in, Scientology's mind control is really going to work, right? Or any other abusive organization or person. You can be in a relationship where that same kind of thing, new behaviors and attitudes. It's like, no, you're not going to go see your mother. I don't want you to. You need to stay here with me. Huh? Come on. If you love me, you can really listen to manipulative people, and after a while you go, wow, that is bad news. It is. But it sounds, you see people buy into it. You do all the time. So they're instilling new behaviors and attitudes, which is the tech, right? Processes, which processes is like counseling, which you're thinking you're getting better with, but really you are really, really getting more and more trapped in their Scientology mind control. That's it. That's what it is. And it's the Scientology Truman Show. That's what I call it. All right, and the last one is 6, put forth a closed system of logic. Well, what is a closed system of logic? Well, Scientologists say they're free, but they can't talk to you. They can't talk to me. They can't talk about anything. They can't go to a lot of places. They can't do a lot of things. There's a lot of, but it's very logical, and it's true, and Hubbard said it was a science of the mind, but don't question it, because if you question it, we're going to send you to ethics, because that's a high crime, to question it at all, right? And again, people are listening to this, they're going to go, I would never buy into that. And trust me, if someone had told me just what I'm telling you today, I would be like, I'm on my way. No way. No way. But you never know. It's like, I say to people, don't play with fire. Don't go try out their stress test, because they can sometimes trick you. That's what Scientology and any cult is, really. They're tricking you. And if you get tricked, some people are in a weak point and they buy into it. So there you go. That's the beginning of cults in our midst, right? And I am going to tell you more about this. But that's it for now. That's the beginning of it. And I hope you enjoyed this series. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube site and staying here. Please pass on this YouTube, Tory Magoo 44 to your friends and other people. People are still getting suckered into this abusive group. I know we don't think so. We think there's so much information out there, but I just talked to a lady a few days ago who'd been in for just a few years, got suckered into it, gave him a lot of money. Her husband was losing his house. I mean, it's a disaster. Yes, they're getting out of it, but a lot of their money's already in the Church of Scientology. So it's very important you pass on my YouTube site, because a lot of people write to me and say, thank you, I finally get it, right? And so I know I've heard from enough people that I think it's a really good thing. It's a good starting point anyway for them to learn. And if you're in it, come on out. You don't have to stay there. They'll make you feel like you have to stay there. You do not. There's enough of us out here for you to know, come on. They are like this much, really. Nothing. Make the leap. I have a sign in my refrigerator. Leap and the net will appear. And it does. All right? So I love you guys. Thank you so much and have a fantastic weekend.